Welcome to Live with the Bride Show. I am Tori Prano, owner and creative director of Passera Events.
And I'm Sarah Schreiber, former weddings editor turned wedding consultant. And today we are talking about the benefits of a long engagement, intentionality of design, and an epic after party.
And right over here, we have Anabelle Barnett, which is now Anabelle Lynch. She's just a few months out from her wedding, and we are going to hear all the recap from her fabulous wedding and also fabulous attire and design.
Okay, Anabelle, you were Tori's longest lead planning client ever in the history of Passera Events. Okay, you came to her in 2023. Wedding happened in 2025. Nice long engagement, lots to do. What kind of prompted the decision to have a long engagement with lots of planning time, and how did you feel about that process?
I loved it. I would recommend it to anybody, and I do. We got engaged and then had a ton of family stuff going on where we just kind of didn't really have the time, honestly, to put into let's go straight into a wedding. But at the same time, I'm very particular with how I wanted things to be, and I wanted everything to be super intentional. And Tori knew that from the get-go. She knew. I think that was one of the first words that I said to her was intention. I wanted everything to be thought out. I didn't want to just go on Pinterest and find a wedding, copy and paste it. So I feel like with that amount of time, we were able to actually create something different and something that every step of it felt like us.
Yeah. Tori, how did you feel about having a nice long lead plan?
It was just so fabulous. Like, to her point, I truly do wish every couple took advantage, because the first year in 2023, we booked photographer, videographer, and then she got a pause. She enjoyed the holidays. I didn't bother her. We didn't schedule any planning meetings. And let's just say what is common to compare to 2 years. Honestly, nowadays it's 6 months to 9 months long. And every single month, brides are having to talk to me. When it comes to holidays, if it's between, they've got to make the time to still talk, to get things done, to get tasks done. But you did not have to do that. We were able to leave you unbothered for a little bit. Also, from a budget standpoint, you got to save and build on investments and things of that nature. So you weren't having to spend so much in 2023 and 2024 and 2025. You kind of spaced out that budget year to year. And for someone that does financial planning, following a yearly budget is critical. And I think that greatly helped our entire process, because then we based off of, okay, let's get this booked in 2023. Let's focus on these vendors in 2024. Then we focused on 2025, your final payments. And then we're going to talk about design in just a second, but this design was the most intentional design that we had to really focus on this year, because we spent quite literally months, almost 6 months, developing, going back and forth. What we started with just actually did not come to life. It just wasn't flowing the way we needed to flow. And then we pivoted. And I remember calling Annabelle, I'm like, hey, this first route is not going to be it. But just give me some more time and we're going to present something different. But if we didn't have that time, we would have had to figure out how we're going to make the first option work, so to speak, and ultimately it just would sacrifice that quality. But it just really gave us time to dive deep and to figure out their story. And keynotes, who are they? How do y'all live day-to-day life? What do you like to do? And that's when I found out Danny loves gardening. I never have a groom that loves gardening. So as soon as we heard that little nugget, I said, hey, hang tight, we gotta bring that in some sort of way. We found out where your first dates were, where you like to travel, your style, your brand. We just really got to dive deep, and without that proper planning, it just would not have happened that way. So just so many benefits, and I think that if everyone could have that long engagement, it's worth it every step of the way.
Slow and steady, I think, really does win the race. It is really interesting to me that so many brides now are getting married on a shorter lead time. Totally, Tori, I think it is 6 to 9 months. And that has been such a shift. When I was getting married, it was 12 to 18. We did 18 all the way. And that has changed so much. And I'm so curious as to why that is happening. And to hear you have so much more time to iterate on ideas and to save. And, I think people just want to be married. I'm like, oh my gosh, go elope. And then wait 12 months and have a big, second wedding.
I think it's social media. I think social media is the influence behind okay, oh wait, I don't have a ring yet. Okay, now I have the ring. Now I have the wedding.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, like
That's
it's a sprint.
true.
Breathe.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And when she came to me, knowing that time frame, I mean, I was like all over it. She was speaking my language. She wanted intentionality. We've been talking about being intentional, and I think every wedding should be intentional. And if it's not intentional, then like, who are you doing it for? Are you doing it for just have another Pinterest wedding? Are you doing it just, you know, for social media? And I think that's what's causing this shift right now is like everyone has to have, when they see it right now, oh, the new iPhone release. Okay, gotta go right now. Yeah. It's like, everyone just take a chill pill. And I think our journey is like a testimony to just how chill it can be.
Right. Yeah. It also helps you spread out all the different bridal events too. Like if I had my bachelorette party a few months after getting engaged, I have no idea where it would have been, any details. It would not have been what it was. Like everything just was a lot more intentional and like planned out, more extravagant.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. Like it's not, you know, just the wedding anymore. Like for so many couples, there are so many auxiliary events, right? Like there's an engagement party, there's a bridal shower, sometimes that's a joint bridal shower, there's the bachelorette party, like there's the bridal luncheon. Like there are so many things that you can do to spread that joy over those like 18 to 24 months that I think like it allows you to live in this space a little longer. Of course, that's not everybody, but it's like a really happy process.
I know, it's a really fun time.
And we had 4 events.
Yeah.
And so we had rehearsal dinner, welcome party, wedding day, and after party. And I feel like each event deserved the focus that it got. And I think that's why each event was so different. Yeah. But also not one was a fluke. Like not one was like, oh man, I just wish
we could have done that a little better.
A little bit different.
Right.
Like every event was its own because we made sure that we had the time dedicated to it versus like, you know, all the time for the wedding day. Now, obviously that was priority, but every other event though still had its time. So.
Yeah. And I think that's true, like whether or not you have a planner, right? Like giving yourself that long lead time to plan those like secondary events, like to really put that intentionality behind it. Planning team or no planning team, like we all got lives, you know, like we all have family stuff, we all have jobs, like give yourself a little bit of time to take a breather.
Right, definitely.
You know, so that design can really shine. Okay, and I really want to talk about this design and how it came together because like you said, you iterated on it, it changed, it evolved, there was an elevated tent, there's a mechanical bull somewhere
so
in the
perfect.
end. Like we have so much to talk about.
Yeah. Wow. This design, it started out, we were going to do like a restaurant style concept. And then when I started to get back renderings, it seemed as if we were going to be blocking guests and it seemed like we were going to separate guests. It wasn't hitting. But I warned her, just so you know, it wasn't hitting for me too. Yeah. But we had been working on it for a few months. So I didn't want her to think, oh gosh, what is she doing? So I get her on the phone. I said, I just want to preface you, like, this is not it, but I want to show you what we got.
Yeah, this is what we've been working on.
And so I went back to the drawing board and I wanted to incorporate Danny and his gardening, but also their travel. So insert stone columns. And we wanted to make this sailcloth tent, something that's never been done before. We partnered with a fabulous company, Social Supply Design, and I told them a few little nuggets. Well, quite a bit of nuggets.
You're like, actually, like a lot of nuggets.
A lot of nuggets.
The 12-pack chicken nuggets.
Slay. And they went to Italy, and so we talked about architecture from Italy, the stone walls, also the gardening of the trees. He loves Italian plants.
All the trees are everything.
And she loves hydrangeas. Okay. And she loves baby blues. And so we really had to merge it all together. I also knew that they named their first dog Vinny after a first date they went to at a bar in Charleston. So that inspired our bar design. So we ended up with this lived-in situation with the walls. And it was very much so like we were in their home. They love to host. They like to do events. Also found that out during this whole process. And so we kind of combined all of that in a nutshell. And we got the presentation back. And I mean, I knew it was the one. I've never been so thrilled to get her on a Zoom call. We're sharing the screen. And she was like, wow. Yeah, I think this is it. And she couldn't wait. Danny wasn't with us. He actually he's a lawyer, so he was at court. And so she showed him by herself. And she was like, wow, this is it. And then we kind of took off from there. We were choosing our Pantone colors and choosing certain color schemes. We finalized the tablescape design. But that's kind of how we've got to that point.
Yeah.
And then finding the personal touches. So inside the tent, you know, she has Shop Anabelle. I was like, well, how can we bring that boutique into the wedding? And it was through the favors. So guests were given these little baggies, and it was called Shop Anabelle and Danny, I believe was the title we did, or something along the lines.
I think the Lynch collection.
The Lynch collection.
Right?
Yeah,
Cute.
that's it. Yes, that's
Super
it.
cute.
And it was like a little sign up, and they had their little table number on the little bag.
Yeah.
But I think it's just those intentional details that set the tone. And while the guests may not have known that the architecture of the bar was inspired by Vinny's, like they know that. Like they know these little, you know, little pieces of detail. And down to like the seating of the stones from the stone walls, her dance floor wrap. I combined a few of her dresses patterns that she wore on engagement, proposal, a trip.
That's so fun.
It was so
cool. Yeah, and so I used, of course, AI. I talk a lot about AI, but I merged those patterns together and came up with her dance floor wrap because I knew that those were patterns that she loved. Also, she loved the hydrangea flowers. We took that from her invitation suite, for example. And I presented to her, and I think the beauty of you, Anabelle, was that you were just always like open. You were like, I don't know how that's going to look, but like, let me see. Like, I don't know, but like, I'm so open to it, and I like the background of it. And then when she saw everything, so at the prototype meeting, she saw the sketches, she saw her flowers. It really, I think, kind of sunk in. But tell me, like, your thoughts in that moment.
No, I think honestly shocked at how much you actually paid attention to everything. I feel like a lot of times you go in and you kind of tell somebody so many details, and we gave you a lot of details because I really wanted to kind of have everything be meaningful and actually like show people, because the montage is also where Danny told me that he loved me for the first time, like took me on a little staycation. And so we wanted everyone to get there and to see like our relationship, understand why we love this place so much, see all the different aspects of our relationship. And Tori completely showed that through the tent, through the design, the entire weekend.
Yeah. I think we're at a point right now where I think couples have a hard time making decisions and trusting their creative partners when it comes to the wedding planning process. And it sounds like you really did trust Tori and like really gave over some of that creative control. But like that trust was earned, you know, like, and I think like that's something that I think couples need to hear more. Like somebody who really, really cares about you will remember those things and build that into that initial rendering or prioritize that for you. And I think like in an age where it's like, I don't know how to know when that somebody is right for me, like that's a really good piece of advice, you know, like looking for somebody who sees you and pays attention and remembers.
And I think the biggest moment for me, that when I knew that you fully trusted me, is when I came to you with the first design and you didn't freak out. She was so calm, but I was like, this is not it. But the next one, what I have in mind absolutely is I just need to dig a little bit deeper, start over. And in that moment, she really could have said like, oh my God, we just wasted 3 months or whatever the case may be. But instead she was like, no, like I trust you. Like, and in that moment, I'm like, this is it. Like I was transparent with her, she's transparent with me, and I think that is the beauty of like what you're talking about, the trust. Because from there forward, I mean the whole time was great, but just in that moment forward, it just felt so different because it was like we kind of had a moment together where I was like, this isn't it. And like obviously I could have told her I liked it because I was going back to the drawing board and I'm doing more and more hours. I could have just pretended and said, okay, well here you go.
This is good enough.
This is good enough. Like this is fine. Blah 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 blah. But I was just like, no. And honestly, that has never happened either. In all of my years of planning, I've never seen initial sketches come back and I'm like, why does it look like this? Why am I not loving it? But I've got to tell her where I am with this because I've been waiting on this for like 2 months. So that was a good moment.
I feel like it made me respect you a lot more. I mean, I obviously already did, but so many vendors and different people, I just feel like a lot of times you're just kind of a number to them, or you're just another client. And of course they want to make things great for you, but they might not actually kind of dig deeper and for you to completely pivot, find a whole new company to work with, go through that entire new process and everything really showed that you were actually looking out for us and not just, let's get this wedding over with, another one.
No, I think the idea of what differentiates vendors and like how to choose them and what makes people choose certain vendors over others always comes back to that, like, am I just a number to you? Like, do you care about me? I talk about this a lot on TikTok, and I talk about this a lot like with vendors directly too. And I think like you can always kind of tell when it's like a job for somebody versus like a calling or a vocation or something that they really feel strongly about. You're like, no, I will actually design this down to my marrow too, you know, like that they care about you and your story. And I think that's like just a sign of a great partnership and that you have found somebody great.
Definitely.
I am actually so obsessed with the idea of like a gardener groom and I just now want to meet this man. So like it must have been that like floral was super important to you, right? Like hydrangeas kind of blending the Italian elegance of it all. What was it like working with your floral partner?
I think it was really good. I mean, Tori kind of
You led it?
really led that. Yeah, but I feel like I loved hydrangeas and I knew I wanted to incorporate them. That's kind of as far as I knew. That's all I knew.
You're like hydrangeas.
We really hadn't gotten into the Danny stuff at all until I think we just
so actually
came up, maybe?
y'all had one request at the prototype. Danny wanted one of the plants from the wedding taken home with him.
Yes, that was his one request.
he got his own tree from the wedding to always remember their wedding.
It's in our backyard. It's planted.
Yes.
We have 8 olive trees back there. One of them's from the wedding.
Yeah.
And then he's going to call me an orange tree, I think.
Yeah. He's like,
Some
don't
sort
go to
of
the show and
citrus
not know the
tree.
tree name.
He's like, you got to know the genus and species type of tree.
Exactly.
babe.
There's too many. Our yard is packed.
Yeah, that's
with
all
trees.
that they had a request from Festoon for. And I think that I was just in love when Danny said that. I'm like, you really care about your plants.
Yeah.
Because meanwhile, and I think me and Annabelle were like, oh, wait, who's getting the plant in the car?
I know,
and because we were like, immediately, we're thinking logistics.
Yeah.
And then Festoon's like, don't worry about it. I'll bring it to you. She's based in Charleston. They live in Charleston.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and so we're like, oh, perfect. So that was really their only request. I mean, I knew what flowers to stay away from. There's certain things I ask ahead of time, what they don't like, what they do like. Yep. And we knew we wanted to use hydrangeas in a particular way because they're not the best in heat. They did get married in May.
Yeah,
so
they droop.
Yes. So we had to make sure that they were used in such a sense that they were going to thrive, but also not die.
Right. And also something different because I feel like when I hired you, that was the age of like the coastal. Like I feel like coastal hydrangea
Coastal
weddings were
elegance.
really big and that's why I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
But you were like, let's try and do something different. And we very much did that.
Yeah, that is true. Yes, because I will say all your inspiration had been done. It was all those hydrangea weddings and hydrangeas across the table. And I'm like, okay, we know you love hydrangeas, but we've got to spice it up a little bit and still make it coastal. But that's where the theme kind of evolved into that coastal Italian romance.
Right.
Because I didn't want you to have, every other thing on Pinterest. And for us to spend that much time on it, I'm like, I want everyone to walk in knowing they have never been it. Because during that time, every guest I feel like was going to a coastal, wedding. But
so tell me more about that though. Like, how do you take something that like maybe, all right, like a hydrangea or a coastal theme, right? And then how do you work together to make it your own? Like when the bones of something are like, all right, we've kind of seen this before, right? But I still, like you wanted your event to be so intentional and you and personal. Like how do you come in and take that baseline and take it to the next level?
Yeah, I really push them out the comfort zone. And how do I do that? I ask a lot of personal questions. Okay. Like personal, like where do you shop? Where is your favorite place to eat? Like things that you're like, Tori, why are you asking me this? And I literally said, these are random questions. But I just need to know. Because while they may say my favorite place to shop is Saks, there might be something I can dig deeper, into that. So first, I like to dig as deep as I possibly can, as much as they're willing to share. And they shared a lot. And that's the key. So she said earlier, share a lot. She shared everything I possibly needed. And then we built off of it to produce what is something unique, what is a concept, what hasn't been done before. And that's where we really rely on AI just to get initial ideas and concepts. AI to me is like a very more empowered Pinterest board, and so to speak, but it hasn't been done before. Because it's me speaking to AI. Then once I start getting the concepts together, then you find that great creative partner production, floral production company that then can come in there and really enhance that vision. So for us, it was just getting the right partners. We pivoted in the beginning of the process, and that's okay. But I knew what partners she needed. And I didn't want to choose a partner just because of the name. I didn't want to choose a partner, that will be good for just my brand, but not good for the client. Or, heck, they already spent time on it. Let's just go with it. When I choose that partner, what is good for the couple. And that's why we did pivot, because it just wasn't the best fit where we first started, but when we ended up, I mean, it was perfect. And our team on that wedding was just truly chef's kiss.
Elite.
Yeah. And it's because we spent that time figuring out those little details.
Sure. Yeah. It's like power of like working with a planner right off the bat. Like I think again, like there's a lot of how do you choose what's right for you? It's like, I think people don't realize that like hiring a planner will actually save you so much of that headspace, save you money, like to align you immediately. You're like, I know exactly who Anabelle needs to work with. Like that search is done, like that money, like that you could have potentially spent elsewhere that would not make you happy has been saved. So I think like that's like just things that are missed, you know, that you wouldn't know until until you're in the midst of planning a wedding.
I feel like those relationships are super important, and also a reason I was super grateful for you, because we didn't have to just rely on what you see on somebody's social media, because that can be a whole nother story of who they are. And instead it's who you actually work with, who you work well with, who you enjoy to work with, and came together.
Anybody can put together a highlight reel. Anybody can pull pull some good photos. It's like, how do you know that you can trust somebody? Yeah, amazing. I'm also always kind of curious, you had a long engagement, long time to plan this thing. Did the entire process unfold the way that you thought it would? Were there any like speed bumps along the way? Anything about the process that you're like, this isn't what I expected being a bride to be, outside of planning with Tori? Anything to do with the planning process, family, navigating all that stuff?
A lot of the stuff with like maybe like budgeting, I didn't really understand a lot of like the finances of behind the scenes of it, but I don't know.
I think what's unique with you is that you had a financial advisor team. Because they were calling the shots, because Annabelle's dad's just not in her life anymore. He passed away. And I know we're not trying to bring that up, so I want to have emotions. But like they are there to advise Anabelle and help her, but that was also an education point. So it was a lot of talks, a lot of education, and I think that for me looking into your story, it seems like that could have been difficult, just navigating budget conversations.
Especially with a team of men, because the girl left right away, after she like approved the venue and everything, and then she quit, changed jobs,
changed
so
firms.
So we had 3 guys. I was trying to explain why.
You had 3 CFOs of your wedding.
Correct.
This is why I need this much for
I learned so
everything.
much from just like working with them, because I personally feel like they just needed more education. It was almost like talking to 3 fathers of the brides.
Oh my God.
And then they were older and not understanding the demographic of where we even booked and having a montage wedding. But it just took more conversations, and I think was probably a little bit more difficult for Anabelle.
It was definitely stressful at times, kind of having to go back and forth. I mean, ultimately they did know my dad, so they knew what he would have wanted for me out of this, and if they didn't know that, I don't think they would have probably approved most of it, just because but knowing who he was and everything, I feel like they're like, we have to do this, we have to make this work. But it was definitely hard at times. Kind of, you would give me a quote from somebody, I would go back to them, and they'd be like,
what is this? Why does this explain?
Can we change this? Why do you need this?
A
lot of unknown.
Actually, when I started learning that, so when I first started, because I'm used to sending the proposals to the bride, and then they say, what's the feedback? What do you want to go with? Well, then she would send me questions from them, and then I started to restructure how I would send things to her. So I would send more details and explain, because I knew that someone from the naked eye was going to be looking at this. They didn't know our conversations. So then I would say, hey, this actually was cut here, so we could accommodate for this here. We cut in this line item here, so we could do this. And then I made a whole separate spreadsheet to just show overall, like if we pull from this, we can do this. And I think just once I understood who we were working with, it really was smooth after our initial humps and changes of personnel.
That was super helpful.
But I know that was tough conversations for you in the back.
Not fun. Budget conversations are never fun. But I think also like with you being able to give like the deadlines on when everything is, because they're all about investment, so they want to make the money back before it's spent on the wedding.
So it makes sense.
Fair enough. Are you comfy talking about having a wedding without a parent present, or
that's fine.
Is that okay?
Danny's
with you?
dad also died right after we got engaged.
I feel like I lost my dad 6 months after we got married, and I think that this happens often for people, like, you know, it happens, you know, you turn 20, later 20s,
Right.
early 30s, like, listen, like, unlucky dead dad club, like,
Yeah.
it's a time when this stuff kind of happens. And I think, like, so many people go through this and they don't, like, know how to navigate it when somebody's sick, or, you know, you've lost somebody recently. You know, what was that experience like for you, and how did you find ways to kind of honor your dad and then eventually, you know, your husband's dad during this process?
Yeah. It was definitely hard, but I think knowing that he would have wanted the exact wedding that we had, and like the mechanical bull, all the crazy stuff that happened, all of that, he would have been wanting that and more. Like, I just think he would have been super happy with it. So I think we really honored him in that way. And also with Danny's dad, the same thing, seeing everybody come together and all of his family came down, which was super important to him. I think we had memorial seats for them in the front row.
Nice.
And we've always had a little sign with, like, cardinals being, like, a sign of our dads.
Oh my gosh, cardinal's a sign of my
really?
dad.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's, like, a lot of...
I think so, too. I have this conversation
super
a lot.
common thing.
Yeah.
And they came on your wedding day.
Yeah.
2 of them, 2 red
During
birds
our
in their wedding
first
video.
during our first look, they landed on the
got
tree.
chills.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just literally, they stood up.
Yes.
I know.
In their wedding video, it was perfect.
Yeah, it
and
was
they
so
stayed
cool.
and watched. Like,
Yeah.
these 2 red birds were there.
No, it was crazy. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
first thing when Danny turned around. I didn't see them right away, and then he told me. I'm like, well, I was already crying, but now
Right. Well, now the waterworks are really here.
Yeah.
need to go get my makeup redone now.
Yeah.
And something else Danny did for his dad is that the entertainment was booked on really behalf of his dad, because he said, like, his dad really cared about the entertainment. So they booked the band that they love in
Yeah, our
Charleston.
favorite band.
Yeah, Midnight City. Incredible.
Nice.
But that to me was very special when Danny said, like, this is what my dad really cares about.
Yeah.
Danny, you know, has a great connection with the band too. So that was like a little moment for them internally,
Right.
that they talked about and to honor the dad.
Yeah. That's so nice. Yeah. There are so many great ways to do it. How did you navigate, like, a parent dance if you decided to do one or not?
I just didn't do one.
Yeah.
Danny still danced with his mom,
Yeah.
of course, but I don't love being the center of attention. I was so nervous for our
we can
first
talk about
dance.
that
The second
too.
that our
Yeah.
first dance was over, I was like,
They killed
okay,
it.
I can enjoy
Yeah.
the night now.
Yeah.
So I kind of was like, one less thing I have to go up there and do. Obviously, it was emotional. I don't like going to weddings where I have to watch the father-daughter dance. It is an emotional thing to watch now,
Of
but
course.
I think I was able to kind of...
You did what was right for you.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
able
Yeah.
to separate it the night of, and I was a little nervous for when Danny was going to do his, that maybe it would bring up some emotions, like, I'm supposed to be next, and I didn't have any feelings like that at all, which was great.
Yeah, that's nice that you were just able to stay present
Yeah.
in it and in the moment. Okay, I'm curious. You don't enjoy being the center of attention.
No.
Like, honestly, 50% of the female population doesn't enjoy being the center of attention. But being a bride is literally all about having all eyes on you. And I've, like, done some outreach of this on TikTok, and, like, people are like, the idea of walking down the aisle to me is, like, terrifying. Or the idea of, like, being, you know, in the middle of that dance floor for that first dance. So, okay, so how did you get through it, you know, and how did you reframe so that you could still really stay present?
I didn't look at anybody but Danny the entire time I walked down. The entire ceremony, we did not break eye contact.
Okay.
Everyone was like, you guys stared at each other more than I've ever
You're
seen
like, whoa.
anybody stare at each other before. But I really just tried to remember why I was there, and it's not about anybody else. We also did private vows, which I feel like really helped, because if I was going to be writing my vows to read in front of everybody, I was going to be writing them for what everyone wanted to hear.
Yeah.
So to actually just get to read them in private was super nice.
Yeah, I think the personal versus, like, you know, the traditional vow conversation, like, that screws a lot of people up too. I felt the same way. I was like, I will not be able to get through this actually if I do this in front of everybody else, and I'll be thinking about how my face looks and, like, okay, now I'm crying and I can't finish. We ended up reading letters to each other that night, like, while we were in bed.
Nice.
So I think that there are so many nice ways to kind of avoid that. Like,
Definitely.
this is not for me.
Right.
It doesn't, like, have to be for you at all, you know, whatsoever. You just got to do what's right for you.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Back to the party. I need to hear all about the mechanical ball. Like, let's talk about, and I want to hear about this elevated tent situation too.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was a whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's touch on that.
Yeah.
We had your tasting. It was November before the May, so last November. And we had just finished up the whole meal. And then we went over, just me, her, and Danny. We walked over to like the River House area near the Village Lawn, which if you're not familiar, that's where the tent goes. And there was already a tent up on elevated flooring with another wedding. And Danny says, wait, is that our tent? I was like, no, y'all have a sailcloth. And he was like, but it's elevated. I'm like, yeah, but y'all's isn't right now. He's like, well, can we go over there? Technically, we definitely broke the rule. But we went in this person's tent. It literally had a sign, like, don't step up here. I'm like, y'all, please be careful. Don't
Did
break
you pre-wedding crash?
Yeah, like, do not break a leg. So we walk up into this tent, and immediately y'all said, we have to have this story.
It
What
was
has
so
to be
cool.
done to have the tent elevated? I mean, they had the grand staircase, and Danny, I remember he was very adamant in that moment. He took it all in, and he says, wow, we have to have it. Not just walking on flooring. And so I made a phone call to Devin at Amazing Event Rentals. He's like my guy. And he says, yeah, we can make that happen. And we worked numbers and we made it happen.
Yeah.
And that's quite literally like 6 months before the wedding, we now are putting an elevated tent.
Wow.
And it was so worth it. They got their grand entrance,
It was
and
so
it
cool.
was everything that they
Yeah.
felt in that moment. But
Yeah.
it's all because they actually got to experience an elevated tent. Not because they saw a photo.
Right.
It was them walking into
Yeah.
someone else's tent.
You've spent 18 months planning this thing. 18 months?
It was actually maybe like 22 months.
Okay. 22
Yes.
months planning this thing. What was like that feeling when you finally saw this room, when like, you know, all this planning work was behind you? Like, what was running through your head?
It was insane.
Yeah.
I think we had tried to stay away from the tent as much that week. Danny peeked a few times.
Yeah.
But
That's
we
so
were also
funny.
staying right next door, which made it a little hard. But
Yeah.
it was so cool to see everything come to life. The banquet tables, that's what I was so excited for.
Yeah.
Just everything was
Yeah.
crazy. The dance floor. I mean, I just think every single detail. And it was great to do the tent reveal and actually get to go in without anybody and
Yeah.
look at it and look at, because we had so many different tables. Everything
Yes.
was different. There was different plates at the
Yeah.
different tables. It was
Yeah.
so cool. But if we had gone in at the same time as everybody else, we
Yeah.
never would have seen half of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
It
couldn't
was
take it in.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to do a
And they
room
got to
reveal.
practice their first dance.
Yeah, we did.
So we did a tent reveal and a first run of your first dance, because you did do a choreographed
Yeah.
first dance. And I thought that was great because that kind of helped you like understand your dress
Right.
and your hair and
Yeah.
you know, everything else. But you also just had a moment, because I remember just standing there in this moment, and I was almost in tears because I was just soaking this in with them. We're all in there. The photography, videography team's in there. They're still taking details, so they truly are having a moment.
Yeah.
And I'm just standing there like a proud mama bear, and I'm like, look at my kids.
They're
with
so
it.
happy.
Like, it was just that moment, because usually tent reveals, you're in and you're out.
It's quick, yeah.
And then they go back out and join cocktail hour. But they really just soaked it in, and
Yeah.
we did some more photos, and
Yeah.
then they went and joined their guests, which is right outside the tent.
Yeah.
But I think it was just like a pure like pinch me moment right there.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point about practicing that first dance. I was recently
Yeah.
working at a wedding where the couple did that too. I'm like, ooh, I think this is a new thing that people are doing. Because to your point, like, you don't know how you're going to feel swishing
Yes.
around in that thing.
Yeah.
Well,
You
my
know?
dress, there was tulle under it, and so with my heels when we were practicing it, I kept stepping on it, and I freaked out a little bit in the tent before. I was like, I might
How am
be
I gonna
choking
do
this whole
this?
time.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I didn't.
No.
but
Oh, it was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like having that like a little bit of practice too.
Definitely.
Okay, and it's a good note about the tool. You got to watch the tool.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
know, like you got to think about like
Yeah.
brides with tool. You know, you got to watch that 100%. Okay, after party. Take us through the after party. The after party that I want to have attended
was
and been on this mechanical ball.
Yeah, three months
So
prior.
fun. Yeah, it
to
was
the-
a last minute
It was-
decision.
yeah, so I have to give all the credit to Dakota with Jardinier Events and
Okay.
Devin with Amazing Event Rentals. We were sitting at dinner, and I was in Bluffton, and we were talking about just unique ideas that wouldn't blow a budget, because
Yeah.
actually Anabelle had cut this event. Fun fact: we were not doing an
Yeah,
after
we were.
party.
Okay. You were like, that's it. We're
yeah.
done.
Because
Party's over.
she wanted to stick, and as she should have, stuck to her budget.
Yeah.
And so 3 months before, she's, hey, Tori, is it too late? And I'm like, I can plan an event in 3 months.
Like, hey, so sorry.
But when she told me this, I was already with these vendors.
Yeah.
So we're having a drink over dinner, and Devin says, hey, Tori, I got a guy for Mechanical Bull. Because I was telling them how she loves going to concerts.
Yeah.
And they love dancing. They cowgirl boots, everything.
Yeah.
So he says, Tori, I got this guy that can do a Mechanical Bull. I'm like, stop it right now.
Yeah.
And he was like, I can just make a phone call. He makes a phone call at the dinner table. I said, wait. What if Anabelle doesn't like this idea? And I'm like, she's probably thinking I'm nuts. We're going to bring a bull into a ballroom.
It's not what I expected when you called.
No.
Not what I expected.
No. And so I get the pricing. I get the details. Dakota's like, hey, Tori, I can do this Millar draping, spice it up, fix the walls so he doesn't feel like you're just in a ballroom. And then I said, wait, what about the bar, though? Devin's like, oh, we can do the mirrored. And I says, okay, what if we get, like, cowgirl boot sign, like a little light-up neon sign for the bar? So within, I kid you not, 25 minutes, we practically planned this event. And the client didn't even know a thing. And so I says, all right, guys, y'all just pray for me because I got to get Anabelle with them.
Yeah, now I need buy-in.
Because I needed to know numbers because, again, she had already cut the event for the budget.
Right.
Yeah.
So... I tell her, I say, hey, we can do all of this for this set price point. And I says, I know I'm going to sound crazy, but what's your thought? She's like, wait, I love that. It's fun. I think that could work. Let me talk to Danny.
Yeah.
And then she talked to Danny, and they were like, yes, we're going to keep it a surprise.
Without even asking.
Yeah,
she we're doing it.
Yeah, she definitely did. And then, we got everything rolling, and we kept this as an epic surprise from the guests. So, like, that week we were teasing, but the guests had no clue what they were walking into. And their reactions, it was the most epic reaction. We had, at this event, too, we had all comfort food. And if you know me, picky eater, we had milkshakes, we had cheeseburgers,
good.
we had fry cups. And it was just completely different from the wedding day food. But it fit like we were going to a rodeo.
Yeah.
And then I saw you branch out, get the cannon gun, the smoke gun, the CO2 gun. But I mean, it truly was like the best night. And to know that it evolved over dinner in 25 minutes with just other creative minds in the area who were also on her vendor team for the wedding day.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like everyone saw the vision for her. So it wasn't just me. It was like these people saw like a little bit more of Anabelle. And it was just bigger and better. So crazy.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
Everyone was on that Mechanical Bull.
I was just going to say,
Everyone.
like, how
To the end of
many
that.
guests went on there? Like,
Probably
almost all of them.
95%. My
That's-
mom was on there.
Like, every
all of
grown
her
adult.
friends, Danny's coworkers.
Like,
Love to see it.
Grown.
love to
Yeah.
see
It was amazing. People still talk about it.
Yeah.
It was-
To think that we weren't going to have the event 3 months out, and then to her saying, I think we really need it. I've been thinking about it.
Yeah.
And it's on my mind. And in my mind, I thought we were all done with the process. 'Cause like I said, we had
done and dusted. You
done and
decided.
dusted.
Yeah.
And then her timing couldn't have been more perfect because I was already literally with the vendors. And it was prime time season for them. So if I probably wouldn't have been with them, it was going to be hard to get things back and just contacts. Right. But when she sent it was like a godsend moment. It was like, oh, wait, this is meant to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was good.
I mean, I think it's totally great, to stick to a budget. Like, you don't have to have every event, right? That everybody does. Like, you don't need to do all the pre-stuff. You don't have to do the brunch after. You don't have to do all this stuff. But I think, like, when you can find something that feels, like, really thematic and worth it for you, like, an after party is also, like, that's where I would do it. Like,
Right.
I feel like I would skip a welcome party for an after party.
Yeah.
Is that, like, a crazy hot take? I don't know.
No, I would agree with you.
Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Because
Yeah,
the
like, if you had to
energy is
choose?
so high on a wedding night,
Right.
especially when you leave from an epic band. Like, their band set the tone for the after party.
Yeah.
And then you go, we had to end the night at a certain time because of noise ordinances, right? So you're
Right,
thinking,
right,
what
right.
else do you want to do? The energy is high, take
Yeah.
full advantage. When the guests got up there, I mean, it was the most epic night to witness.
Yeah.
And probably the biggest after party we've ever seen in our history in just terms of just enthusiasm,
Yeah.
something that's different. Obviously, you've never seen a Mechanical Bull brought into an after party before
Right.
either, so mic drop. But, I would have easily chosen that if I had to get put into a situation of welcome party versus the after party, because the after party was still the deal.
Yeah.
So,
Agree. You guys did that on site, right? You did after party on site?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like that's the only way to do
It was,
it, though.
yeah, it was
did.
right next door.
Yeah.
Right next door.
Perfect.
Leaving, I feel like that's what makes it tricky. Like, you have that vibe dip, but when you can just be like, go on over there.
Walk
Straight
across
there.
the street.
I think mostly
Yeah.
everyone did go.
Yes.
I mean, we had almost the whole guest count on the dance floor on the entire
yes.
night. I think
Yeah.
we probably scared all of you guys a little bit with
No,
the
I absolutely
the
loved
dancing,
it.
screaming.
We had a little surprise for Anabelle and Danny with some coal sparks leading out into
Oh, it
the
was
area.
perfect.
Her guests ate it up too. So
Yeah.
we just wanted to keep that energy
Energy.
going.
Yeah.
Because it was everything. And I just really have never witnessed her guests were just so sweet too. You know, not that a lot of guests aren't, but her guests were overly abundant, kind, coming up to us, not just my team, but all the vendors. I mean, that venue even said, "Oh my gosh, they're coming up to us about the food," and Montage is the best grouper.
Yeah.
I will die on that hill. But I mean, their guests were just so fun to be around, and so I think that helped just keep that energy high.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, and you also kind of kept that energy happy, leading up to that wedding too. I heard a little something about a pre-wedding picnic.
Yes.
That Danny planned for you ahead of time. Okay, tell me about this, because this is very cute. And I honestly think prioritizing a date or togetherness in those few days, which can be very chaotic and frenetic, is so important.
Yeah. I was super stressed out when we got settled into our hotel. We had some hiccups with the room situation, which Tori saved the day on, but it was a lot of stress right when we got there.
Okay.
And a lot going on. All of our family, everyone's flying in, mostly all of our families from different
Overwhelmed,
states.
just
It was a
hits.
lot, yeah. And trying to unpack, figure everything out. And then Tori was like, "Hey, I'm going to need you to come meet with..." So I can't remember what you said.
I said we had a production meeting with the venue.
Yes. And I'm like,
oh my God.
What? What are we going to? And Danny's like, "Can I come?" And and then I think you were like, no, just you. I'm like, well, I was super confused. I didn't think he had anything to do with it, though. I was just like, all right, I need to go to something. Maybe something's wrong. I'm not sure what's going on. So then you picked me up in the golf cart. We drove back to your house. That's when things started to get weird. Yes,
we had a stall, so Danny wasn't ready, and so
He proposed to you again.
Practically,
he proposed to you again the week of your wedding.
I was
that's what happened.
Sweating. I'm like, oh my God! I told her this meeting.
Only time Tori was dressed the whole weekend.
No, seriously, and he threw me a doozy. Backtrack. He did this a week before the wedding, and I'm like, my planning brain has every single detail done. Okay, now you want to throw another event on that Thursday?
That's
You're like,
a
this is an
groom
event,
for you.
dude.
Yeah. But I ate it up because that's the first time that's ever happened too.
Yeah.
And I thought that was incredibly sweet
Super
of
cute.
Danny. And I says, Dana, we're gonna make this happen. And so to Annabelle's point, when they first checked in, just a quick little nugget just about the stress she was going through, there was random people in the place she was staying at, random guests. And obviously we're trying to be mindful and working through that situation with making sure other people aren't feeling a type of way of the property. But it just took a lot of different phone calls and meetings to make it all right. But that was just stressful for her. So I knew what was happening this week, and I knew that great things were happening for her, but she didn't know that.
Yeah.
So when I tell her hey, I'm about to pick you up on the golf cart, because we had planning golf carts, Danny's texting me saying, not yet. And I had 3 different team members peeping out, and they're like, no, he's waiting on the cheese and the meat tray. And I'm like, oh God, okay. So
Charcuterie emergency.
Yes. And so I was staying close by, and I says, oh, I'm so thirsty. I just got to go to my house. And she's like, what are we doing? So I'm over here, and I'm like, so sorry. Just got to go grab these drinks and Gatorades. And I'm like, oh my God, texting. And so we go back around, and we pull up. And so I'm like, oh, well, don't take a look at the tent. And I'm trying to bypass her from even thinking where we were. He was outside of the certain area. We pull up, and then I tell her, and I'm like, okay, well, Danny's over there. I wanted to have a surprise. And so she gets out, she runs to him like a scene in the Notebook. And then I pass her off to him. And then they have their moment there.
You walked her down the aisle, Tori.
No, but truly. And after jumping
You
off
drove her down the aisle.
Yes.
Drove her down the aisle, jumped off the golf cart, made sure they were together. And I'm like, oh my God, the surprise is over. I mean, I'm sweating bullets at this point. But I mean, that goes to show though, their level of intention and how Danny really is obsessed with Anabelle, because he told me, like, you know, I told her I loved her here. I want to have this moment between us because the week is chaotic. And then they spent the rest of the day together. They did like a lot of bike rides that week. I mean, they truly just got to have a good time, which I think, you know, we heard about from one of the last interviews too, is having time before that wedding. Get somewhere, get situated.
Yeah.
But also, to Sarah's point, there should be like a date night the week of your wedding. Like, don't talk about anything about the wedding, but just talk about you two. And the fact that he took it back to y'all's roots was everything to me, which is why I was so curious to jump on this surprise and to drop everything I was doing. And I changed the production schedule that day. I told all the vendors, do not contact me during this hour. I need to be fully present. And it's funny because they all knew about it. I was hyping it up. And so, like, they're peeping out from the tent, like, oh, there she goes. And I'm like, yo, don't look. She could be like, what are y'all doing?
Clueless.
She was so clueless.
So
I honestly had no clue. I mean, that's what, for our first date, he picked me up and he set up a whole picnic for me, which
so replicated
was so romantic.
Correct. It was
And then he proposed at the spot that he did the first picnic at. And so it kind of came full circle.
All right, guys, Danny is your model. Pre-wedding picnic, recreate that first date. And like, would you say that changed the tone of that day for you? Like, after that stress, and were you able to kind of like, you're like, wait, this is actually why I'm doing this, and like nothing else
kind of brought me back.
Brings you back to the reason for it all.
Definitely.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so you're somebody who shares a lot of beautiful things online. You're very active on Instagram, like your outfits, hosting, beauty, all of these things. Was creating like really strong content important for you for the wedding? And like, obviously photo and video kind of goes into this too. Like, how did you choose those things, and kind of how did you make sure that your vision was captured by these professionals?
It was extremely important to me. I think besides Tori and the venue, that was next up. That was the next thing that we booked. I knew I wanted Clay Austin. He shot a proposal. So that was kind of, I think, the first person that we reached out to and booked. And then video, we kind of waited on a little bit longer just to kind of see. I didn't know any videographers, but I knew I wanted one, and wanted one that could also create Instagram reels and kind of dive into that whole world also. The new thing, I feel like content creators, I want everyone to get one of those. I feel like, because you had Lawson and she had...
On my team, so I already have
one. I was going to say, I thought you had one built in.
Right? I do. And then my brides just get access to it.
It was amazing. I feel like to get all that behind the scenes, it's so much different than what you get from the videographer and photographer. But honestly, equally as special, I would say, because you get to kind of see the behind the scenes to everything and like feels more real almost.
Like that BTS vibe. I mean, like, they're like the hot new thing right now, and like whether they're on like built into teams, planner, or photo teams, like, I think they're worthwhile if you care about the content.
No, for sure.
I would definitely say so. Okay, do you have any advice, like, now that, you know, the wedding's behind you, like a few months out, like, do you have any advice that you would tell brides, you know, moving forward, who are planning their weddings, who maybe they don't feel like they want to be the center of attention, or anything related to your experience? What would you tell them? I
would say trust your gut. I think there's a few different things throughout the process that I knew going into it, this might not be for me. And then I went with it, and that would have been a regret of mine. And so I feel like if I had just trusted my gut initially, I would have kind of saved some of the stress of that. At the same time, trusting your vendors, because I had no clue what I was doing. And I feel like a lot of times you think you do from social media and from TikTok and Pinterest and everything, and you really have no idea how any of it goes. So it's super important to have people that you can trust.
Totally. I feel like there's a big like convo about like, well, like, what does it matter, right? Like, what's the difference between a wedding or a birthday party or an anniversary party? Like, what are, like, there's a lot of like, you know, chatter that goes on about pricing and like level of care and all of this. I'm like, the depth of knowledge required to plan a wedding, the logistics, the vendor types, like, there's so many things. Logistics. I remember getting married, I was like, no way. no thank you. This couldn't be me. Like, you know, like it just could not be me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't agree more. Like you gotta hire and you gotta trust.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Looking back, would you change anything with fashion? Like, do you feel like what you chose was exactly who you are? You had a lot of different fashion. So like one night you had like the cowgirl boots and a shorter high-low dress, and then you went shorter for the after party. You went more timeless traditional on the wedding day.
Bridal capsule.
Yes,
Yeah.
like you really did hit every look possible. Do you like those choices when you did it with fashion?
Most of them. I will say I waited until the last minute to do alterations. So my rehearsal dress was way too tight. She brought it in a lot, but I think with the amount of time that I had, the trends were changing so much, and I feel like I had seen every single dress that every bride had worn. I was checking every website every day for new arrivals, anything white.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good thing, and also can kind of be a bad thing because I just kept waiting, and I waited till the week of the wedding to get my after party dress. I had
this is common.
Yeah, I had a completely different dress ready to wear. Never wore that dress. I ordered it Monday, and it came in I think Thursday or Friday. But besides that, I feel like everything was super true to me, and like my dress was very timeless to me, and everything was perfect.
Yeah. 22 months to plan a wedding.
Yeah.
3 days to find an after party dress. Like that's about right.
I know.
For the after party.
Yeah.
That's like genuinely just how it goes with. Yeah. Like I really think like if there's anybody out there, like go start putting together like never before seen after party dresses because you would make a killing.
Honestly.
The brides want to know.
No.
They really do.
Yeah.
Period. That actually could be a whole series.
That actually could be.
Yes.
Episode 2 with Anabelle.
Yes. Part 1, part 2.
Yeah, I haven't looked at a white dress since. I'm like,
You're like, I'm done.
You're like never again.
I'm clocked out.
it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Curating that wardrobe definitely is.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
but fun.
What's a highlight that money couldn't buy? Like something that stands out to you that had absolutely nothing to do with anything you spent or a decision you made financially, but something that you just can't, recreate.
I think the fact that Danny and I really didn't leave each other's side the entire time. When he had to go to the bathroom, I didn't go into the bathroom with him, but I followed him. We didn't leave each other the entire weekend, so all of our memories are the same. That was super important to me because I feel like you have so many people from each side that all want your attention and that all want to say hi to you, but you can say hi to all of them together. You can dance with everybody together. You don't need to be kind of going off like, let me go talk to my college friends while you talk to them. You can go talk to them together. I feel like that was something that we both felt super strongly, like we don't want to separate. And we'd have family members try and be like, come introduce me to this person. Danny would be like, nope, we're busy right now. We're doing this. And so that was super important and so special to me because every single memory that we have is together.
Yeah, and I got to witness that even that week when they were dropping off items to our team that they were bringing. Danny was with her the whole time, doing all the heavy lifting and
biking.
Like just seeing them be together, it was a joy because it wasn't like they had like a impromptu pool party, for example, but both together. It wasn't like the bridesmaids are going to go do this and the groomsmen are this. They weren't separated the whole day. They were together, and it was very intentional because I remember she told me very clearly they need to be together.
Yeah.
And I do think that's a great point because I feel like couples almost live their wedding completely separate and then they rehash like at nighttime. Wait, so did you talk to? Or like, wait, did you eat that? Did you try that food? Or, but they were very intentional. And I think that is something that couples really should make a priority to be together. I mean, the day is about y'all, the weekend's about y'all, so be together.
Have the same wedding day.
Yeah, exactly.
Make sure that you do.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, you experience two different things.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's great advice.
That's also why I'm glad we did a first look, which I think on our first call, I said,
she said
the
no
one
first.
thing
I said no.
I will not be doing, I was like, I don't want to do a first look.
She was going to stress me out.
And then I think by the next call, I'm like, just kidding.
Just kidding.
And I'm so glad we did. I still don't even feel like the day, I still wish we had more time in that day.
Yeah.
And to think we wouldn't have seen each other until the ceremony and then had to squeeze all the photos in. There's just no way. And I just think it would have been stressful.
It becomes a blur then. You're like, what did I even just do?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point. Like, you're spending money on this.
Right.
Like, whatever your investment is, it's an investment.
Yeah.
And then to, like, not enjoy it or experience it fully together, like, that's a bad investment then, you know? Like, make sure you're getting ROI on your wedding.
Seriously. I have to ask, what was the best like compliment you were receiving from your guests post wedding? Like, what was the one thing? Was it the food, or what was it? What did you hear the most feedback on from a bride?
I would say definitely the tent.
Yeah.
All the design of everything. People were so shocked.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people were coming up to us in grocery stores like, we know my brother went to that one, like different things is crazy.
Total strangers.
Like at the grocery store.
A wedding so good, strangers wanted to be there.
Absolutely.
And a lot of compliments to all the different vendors, like your whole team. There were
Mm-hmm.
so many people that came up and were so impressed with
Oh.
just everybody, honestly, which is
Yeah.
great to hear.
Yeah, no, I'm always so curious because, you know, for us, our connection pretty much ends after the whole event weekend. Although, like, we stay in the loop. I can follow her still on social media and things like that nature.
Yeah.
But, like, I never truly get the full recap. Of, like, what did they say? Is there any nuggets that I need to take back and, like, hey, should we do this differently?
Yeah.
Is there other vendors that I could give feedback to? Like, you know, you're the consumer, and the guests are almost like our extension of a client.
Right.
That's how we look at it.
Definitely.
And so I never get to have that full rehash, you know, unless a bride feels comfortable, just like if it's important, send an email like, hey, you should probably know.
Yeah.
But I'm always curious to hear that kind of feedback and just like what you hear and what was their take, because something could be important to us and then different completely angle.
Right.
Like for me, the grouper is better than the design, but to hear that, I mean, of course, them
people did love the food. The welcome party food, people still rave about that. We were at dinner last week and everyone's like, can't believe how good that welcome party food is. I didn't even eat it. I was so busy, but apparently
you
it was
also kind of not
amazing.
feeling the best at your welcome party. God bless her.
Oh.
She needed to get some vitamins in her
Yeah,
system.
I think I had a fever.
Yeah, you did. We were on the boat ride over, and my handy dandy little vitamin packet. I was like, I gotta zip this because Danny's over here asking for medicine. I'm like, yeah, I have this, I have that. Let's give her a little concoction.
Yeah. And I lost my voice. I basically had no voice the entire week, and through our honeymoon, they knew me at the hotel as the girl with no voice, and they just kept sending
There was like,
honey.
I can't.
We were a little concerned for her on the welcome party night, but the food was fabulous. It was just different. It was low country vibe feel.
Yeah.
And then wedding day was obviously plated, but it was spectacular.
So good.
Yeah, we probably had, I just told her, another bride that's getting married at Montage, we probably had at least 50 people come up to us talking about the grouper.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not trying to overhype it, but like truly your guests were the ones like, wait, what's the recipe? What's this? And I'm like, honey, I wish I had it because it's the only grouper I'll ever eat. But yeah.
What's the thing that you remember most, or a highlight that you've taken away from your wedding day?
Definitely dancing. I think with Midnight City Band and the after party, but Midnight City Band, Danny and I both went to them separately before we even knew each other. They're a local band in Charleston who everybody loves, so we would go see them all the time. And then when we started dating, the band was like, wait, you two know each other? Because they knew us from going.
Oh my God.
And so all of our friends have gone to them, so everybody was so excited. We're like, it's our own private concert. We thought at one point, it felt like the tent we were like, are we going to break this thing down because of how hard everybody is
Every
jumping
person was on that dance floor.
Up and down. It was insane.
Man.
Yes,
like
like
I want to
so
listen to. I want
fun.
to hear them. I gotta go.
No, they're
Yeah, you do.
incredible. They really are. They know how to keep everyone on the dance floor. They play to the crowd. And Anabelle and Danny had a few requests, prior to.
Yeah.
But besides that, I mean, every single person, every age group was on that dance floor.
Love that.
And I'm thinking, how am I going to get these people to even go use the bathroom? Like, do they know? Like, hopefully they're not like, holding on the dance floor all night. And then finally, people just would leave to use the bathroom and then go right back. They did not sit down, not once.
Yeah, no, you would look out, nobody was
Not
sitting
one
during
seat
the
was down.
reception,
Wow.
which was so much fun.
That's a sign of music
it was
doing their job.
Yeah. I can see why that's a highlight for you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. I'm so glad you traveled here to chit chat with us and me and Sarah, and to help future brides, and to maybe they can learn something from your experience. But obviously, I love just being with you any chance I get, because I had you for 2 years. And now I'm like, how are we going to do this every single
A little bit more.
Yes, just a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And I'm so glad I didn't know when I was going to see you next. So it's perfect.
I know. So drop your socials so everyone continue to follow you and see your shop, and possibly might get a storefront, guys. Who knows?
Hopefully you can follow me on Annabelle K. Barnett. And from there, I have everything else linked, and hopefully a storefront in the future.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Live with the Bride. Follow us on Instagram, watch us on YouTube, and let us know what topics you want to hear more about. See you next time.